evening and welcome to the news on DBS television tonight. Let's open this edition of the news with our top story. The world today says no to tobacco and its consumption, calling on smokers to stop, but quitting tobacco smoking may be more difficult or easier said than done for addicts to this drug. Details of this in the following edition or in this edition of the newscast tonight. Stay with us. Good evening once again and welcome back to tonight's edition of the news, which is the first for this week but the last for the month of May 2021. As you heard on this edition of the newscast opening, today has been observed as World No Tobacco Day, which calls for smokers or consumers of tobacco to stop, not only for their well-being but equally for that of the people surrounding them. Ate Bonaventure in this following story highlights that over 60% of the world's smoking population wants to stop, but only 30 have access to adequate assistance in the battle. His report.
According to the National Anti-Tobacco Task Force, nearly 8,300 Cameroonians are killed every year by smoking-caused diseases. Even though fewer men and women die on average in Cameroon than in the other middle-income countries, still 112 men and 47 women are killed every week by smoking. World No Tobacco Day is observed around the world every year on the 31st of May. This yearly observance informs the public on the dangers of using tobacco, the business practices of tobacco companies, what the World Health Organization is doing to fight against the use of tobacco, and what people around the world can do to claim their right to health and healthy living and to protect future generations. Members of the World Health Organization created World No Tobacco Day in 1987 to draw global attention to the tobacco epidemic and preventable death and diseases it causes. The day is further intended to draw attention to the widespread prevalence of tobacco use and the negative health effects, which currently lead to more than 8 million deaths each year worldwide, including 1.2 million who are the result of non-smokers being exposed to secondhand smoke. The day has been met with both enthusiasm and resistance around the globe from governments, public health organizations, smokers, growers, and the tobacco industry.
The Chief of Staff of Cameroon's Armed Forces, Major General René-Claude Meka, has just rounded up a 72-hour working visit to the far north region of the country, where his mission was to evaluate the security situation in the country. On this occasion, forces of law and order in a closed-door meeting were reassured that they are not left alone in the fight against Boko Haram terrorist group in that part of the country. Now let's get details of this story with Kokobe Remy Carol.
Major General René-Claude Meka, Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, recently ended a 3-day working visit with the Far North region. Accompanied by Major General Baba Soule, this visit was for an operational and security assessment mission in the 4th Joint Military Region in Marua and Mora at the 1st sector of the multinational mixed force. During this 3 days workshop, Major General Claude René Meka exchanged words with his collaborators, including the Major General Sali Mohamedou, commander of the 4th Joint Region, Colonel Njoya Jules, second in command of the 4th Gendarmerie Region, the Chief Medical Officer, and the regional delegate of the National Security. At the end of this exchange, there were measures put in place to defeat terrorism, which led to the stabilization of the security situation. He recalled that during his last visit, the Lieutenant General had recommended that they strengthen the security system in order to counteract the incursions of the terrorist group Boko Haram. Major General René-Claude outlines that one of the reasons for his visit was to encourage the military forces and to assure them that they have not been abandoned on the field to themselves. At the end of this visit, General Claude said he was satisfied as it emerges that the security situation is under control and there is calm at the border with Nigeria and in other localities that were faced with insecurity. Forces of law and order in the Far North region were equally called to intensify sensibilization against the COVID-19.
On to politics. Pioneer regional councillors for the littoral have been meeting for their very first ever session in Douala. For 3 days, the regional councillors would have to settle on key projects in order to justify their role in the decentralization process in Cameroon. Details of this story with Mange Venasius.
The sum of over 3 billion francs CFA has been earmarked as the working budget for the Pioneer Littoral Regional Assembly. This is at the center of a 3-day council session that opened Monday, the 31st of May 2021, an amount which the Assembly is expected to fast-track the development of the region. Opening the session, the regional president, Polycarp Banlock, took to task these councillors to inscribe their names in the annals of history by living up to the challenges awaiting them. Challenges which the president says they will count on the state through her representative, the governor, who will undoubtedly accompany them, as well as economic and technical partners in the region, with whom they are looking forward to a win-win partnership. It will equally be their joy to work in collaboration with decentralized territorial collectivity in the region, such as city councils and municipal councils in the various subdivisions. The president invited everyone to sincerely collaborate with them, since the strategic mission of this assembly for the 2021 financial year should be centered on priority projects to attain sustainable development so as to ameliorate the living conditions of the population.
We have a lot to achieve. We can do the culture, the sport, the tourism, all. We are going to do all this with technical and financial partners. And we can start everything at the same time. Very soon we are going to be starting all the domain.
As for the current session that is ongoing, these councillors have one objective at hand.
We have one topic to follow. We have to vote our budget. That is the priority. Because without budget, we cannot do anything. We need to have our budget. We have to have resources.
For the past 5 months, this institution will still have hard times to take off effectively due to lack of some logistical infrastructure.
We do not have cars. We do not have anything. We do not have people to work with us. We have to start. We are at the starting point.
It will not be an easy ride, but President Banlock and his team says they are equal to the task, as for the next 3 days, they will settle on their modus operandi.
The Mouvement Réformateur political party now is officially represented in the south region of Cameroon, as the regional bureau president, led by Olivier Mfege, was installed last Saturday by the national president of this party, Samuel Bilong. Ate Bonaventure tells us more on this.
The Mouvement Réformateur Party has officially sown its political seed in the South region. The president of the party, Samuel Bilong, and other bureau members were in a Bolova this weekend to install the regional executive and representatives of the Mvila division. Former SDF regional bigwig Olivier Mfege is now the new bureau head of the South region, which is a stronghold of the ruling CPDM party. The MR party has urged the people of the South to put their trust in a party that has come to give hope to the people of a region who are unable to benefit from the rich natural resources from their localities because of bad governance. The local and regional representatives have pledged to extend the tentacles of the party to the nooks and crannies of the region and propose adequate solutions to local challenges. The political outfit hold the view that the state institutions are not functioning the way they ought to, and need total reformation. Mouvement Réformateur was created in 2006 and is looking forward to creating 40 divisional representations by the end of 2021.
Rounding up with local stories in Cameroon, we move on to this advertorial as the Cameroon Tea Estate CTE has embarked on a proximity campaign to sensitize Cameroonians on the virtues of the locally grown and naturally grown tea in Cameroon. At the Bepanda Tonnerre neighborhood here in Douala, the team sensitized the people on the virtues or health benefits of the natural tea and the importance of consuming locally made products in Cameroon. Let's get more of this with Mange Venasius.
In its proximity campaign to encourage and promote the consumption of the Made in Cameroon label, the Cameroon Tea Estate team made a stopover at the Bepanda Tonnerre neighborhood in the Douala 5 subdivision over the weekend. To substantiate the slogan that anytime is tea time, the team imposed their presence in the locality and everyone had a taste of that unique tea brand that the Cameroon Tea Estate prides itself of, its outstanding quality amongst others. According to them, Made in Cameroon label is being pushed to the background by imported product because little or no communication is done on the product. Reason why the Cameroon Tea Estate has taken upon themselves to go towards the client from a door-to-door kind of sensitization, for many are not aware that tea is being grown in Cameroon.
This campaign is just to reinform, to educate our citizens that here the Made in Cameroon is a very serious and competitive brand.
To withstand competition with imported products, the Made in Cameroon products needs to work on the quality, one of the trademarks of the Cameroon Tea Estate, whose quality has stood the test of time.
Our tea is just like a whispers in the middle of a big crowd of shouts that the other brands are doing. Because the virtues of our tea, natural tea produced here in Cameroon but recognized worldwide, who have received much prizes all over the world, like the Queen Mother herself who is drinking our tea. But it's just like a whispers of the truth in a crowd of shout of lies that the other brands are doing.
It is a natural tea which, when consumed, as these Cameroonians in Bepanda Tonnerre attest, has health benefit for the body.
Non, c'est bon, c'est bon. Ça diminue le nerf. Très bon, très bon. Ouais, ouais.
Très bon thé. Je me sens à l'aise quand je prends ça et c'est un produit camerounais.
It is high time we changed our mentality about local products.
Nous devons changer dans la mentalité du Camerounais que le thé, tout ce qui vient d'ailleurs est meilleur. Non, c'est pas ça. Ici, nous avons des bons produits naturels, bien faits et bien conditionnés. Donc, je demanderai aux Camerounais de consommer des produits camerounais.
The team equally shared out aprons to traders in the locality as well as other gadgets, including tea, to the many that turned out.
That leads us to stories out of Cameroon to round up this edition of the news. Mali has been suspended from Ecowas with no particular sanctions imposed on the West African country. This comes just a day after the leaders of the country took part in a summit in Accra in Ghana. And Chad has accused the Central African Republic of killing 6 of its soldiers in an outpost attack in the southern part of the country. Let's get more of this in the Africa Roundup segment with Rogeatu Buba.
Mali's co-leader and newly appointed interim president, Colonel Assimi Goïta, participated in an emergency meeting of West African leaders in Accra, Ghana. At the extraordinary summit, the 15 members of the Economic Community of West African States discussed ways on how to deal with Mali's second coup in 9 months. Kicking off the talks, Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo stressed the region's commitment to a peaceful transition in Mali. President Muhammadu Buhari of Nigeria Alassane Ouattara of Ivory Coast were among those who attended the summit, which came as another deadly jihadist attack underscored Mali's chronic instability. Former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan, mediator in the crisis, was also present. The heads of state called for the immediate implementation of all discussions made. The upheaval in Mali began last week when Goïta ordered the arrest of President Ba and Prime Minister Mokhtar Ouane, who were left with two members of the military following a dispute over a cabinet reshuffle. The West African leaders have suspended Mali from their regional bloc in response to last week's coup, but stopped short of imposing new sanctions. At the end of the summit, the heads of state of the Economic Community of West African State member nations demanded the Malian authorities to immediately release former transitional president Ba and Prime Minister Mokhtar Ouane, who are being kept under house arrest. The Chadian government have accused the Central African Republic of killing 6 of its soldiers in an attack on an outpost in the south of the country, branding it a war crime that would not go unpunished. The Central African Armed Forces attacked the outpost of Suru in Chad, killing a Chadian soldier, injured 5 and kidnapping 5 others who were then executed. The Central African Republic frequently accused its northern neighbors of supporting armed rebel groups from inside Chad. According to an official, the rebels were members of Unity for Peace in Central Africa, one of Central African Republic's most powerful armed groups, which is part of a coalition seeking to topple the regime of President Faustin Archange Touadéra. Authorities from the Central African Republic have not yet commented on the attack. Chad is now calling upon the international community to intervene in this alleged perpetration.
We have come to the end of tonight's edition of the news on DBS Television. It was the first for this week, but the last for this month. See you tomorrow for a fresh edition and a brand new month. Until then, good night. Have a great evening on DBS TV.